It's time to predict that match card once again. This time will be Night of Champions, taking place on Saturday, May 27th from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And of course, with the theme being Night of Champions, I imagine quite a number of championships will be defended on this show. So let's quickly go through the matches that I expect to happen. And the first match I'm going to talk about is, well, not one that features a championship. It's going to be Becky Lynch taking on Trish Stratus. Now, Trish did cost Becky Lynch a championship after being her teammate at WrestleMania. Of course, these two were teammates, losing the Women's Tag Team Championships to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Of course, Lita was taken out in the process by Trish Stratus, and of course since then Becky Lynch has been off TV missing. Trish Stratus being very open. The reason why she did the attack on Becky Lynch was not acknowledging that Trish Stratus is the reason why women's wrestling is what it is today, not getting a thank you Trish. And of course she did do the missing posters and of course had it on her shirt as well. Did the theme of the music, of course, trying to trick the whole crowd. Then the music went a second time. Trish said, hold on, the joke is done. Becky Lynch returns, and of course the attack is done on Trish Stratus after a number of weeks away. For me, perfectly set up for this show. And we had Becky versus Lita at some point last year, I believe it was at Elimination Chamber. Saudi Arabia usually gets the legends in. Trish Stratus, I think it's going to be her turn to go in this time, and I think it'll be a losing effort to Becky Lynch, as I do believe Becky will be challenging for the Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley at this year's SummerSlam in Detroit. Speaking of Rhea Ripley, let's talk about the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's what it is at the time of recording. There could be a championship swap between now and then. I personally would like the names of the championships rebranded, but that's just me. We'll talk about that on a different video. Rhea Ripley, I think, will be challenging against Natalya. Natalya, of course, did come out on Monday Night Raw, stopping Rhea Ripley's attack on Dana Brooke. Rhea Ripley decided to walk away. Rhea Ripley has just come off a program with Zelina Vega. Feels like they're sort of building her up to big challenges at the moment. They want to just establish this title reign at this particular moment. And Natalya, well, of course, she's a workhorse, she's a veteran, she's been there before. You know that it'll be a solid encounter, it'll be a fresh matchup as well, and it will help establish Rhea Ripley as a dominant women's champion straight off the bat. But hopefully after this we can get some more meaningful programs for Rhea Ripley moving forward. As I suggested earlier in the video, a program with Becky Lynch heading into SummerSlam is what I want to see. Moving on, let's talk about the United States Championship. I think Austin Theory will be defending against Bobby Lashley. Now, Bobby Lashley should have won the championship at Backlash, but of course he was thrown out of the ring at the last second after spearing Bronson Reed. That way Austin Theory managed to retain his championship. Of course, that just makes me think they're going to carry this feud on, and ironically both are in the same triple threat match in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. Of course, Sheamus is the other competitor in that match. I think Sheamus takes the pinfall. This time the role could be reversed. Theory could hit his finisher, and I think perhaps Lashley could throw Theory out of the ring to get to the final. They could do where Theory does it again, but I like the idea of Theory getting jealous and costing Bobby Lashley then in the semi-final match in the main event. So then the winner of Edge, AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio is actually the one that goes on to face Seth Rollins at Night of Champions for the World Heavyweight Championship. So yeah, I think Theory and Lashley, that feud is far from finished. It will continue for the United States Championship at Night of Champions. Now, I did a coin toss in which other Women's Championship match would be involved on the show. Would it be the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair, or would it be the Women's Tag Team Championships? I've gone with the Women's Tag Team Championships because the men's will not be defended on this show. As we know, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens do not travel to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So I'm going to go for Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to defend them championships against a returning Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Liv and Raquel are fighting champions, already taking on Damage Control members Bayley and Dakota Kai tonight on SmackDown at the time of recording. The winners of that will take on Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green on Raw. So pretty much going through the challengers at a very quick rate. It wouldn't surprise me if Liv and Raquel have a short reign as Women's Tag Team Champions, and I do believe that the next champions will be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. So I wouldn't be surprised if this match is a late addition to the Night of Champions card. Now to the one match we actually know officially is already a part of Night of Champions. Yes, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. The rematch will be happening. As speculated after Backlash in the review, I said that once Cody Rhodes had pinned Brock Lesnar, the way that he did so by escaping the Kimura to get a quick pinfall, this feud would not be finished. I predicted that Brock Lesnar would cost Cody Rhodes in the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. That did happen on Raw, and of course Brock did make the challenge for a fight against Cody Rhodes, and Cody has accepted that challenge. And for me, I'd like to see a gimmick match take place for this now. I'd like to see, I don't know, potentially a no holds barred match, maybe a submission match. I've seen Fight Pit go around online. I did suggest an idea previously of a bunkhouse brawl. I think that could be an interesting way to bring in, as both have been playing the role of the cowboy or the coward during this, so maybe that could be a good, interesting way to bring that into WWE. Of course, we still don't know the reason as well why Brock attacked Cody in the first place after WrestleMania, although I did like Cody's explanation on Raw, the idea that Lesnar is slipping away from the main event scene, not happy that Cody is entering it and is getting a bit jealous. That would actually make very good sense for me. The only thing that I think would make sense that I'd like to hear is Brock had faith that Cody was going to beat Roman Reigns. Brock wanted to get back into the championship picture, couldn't do so once Cody lost, therefore he took it out on Cody Rhodes. Yes, the World Heavyweight Championship has now been introduced, but of course the feud now with Cody's already started, so once that's concluded in Brock's eyes, once he's got his win back, he could potentially go for that championship, although I do expect Cody to pick up the victory in a more decisive manner the second time around, which probably actually eliminates the idea of submission or Fight Pit for me. I think it'd be more likely to be a no holds barred match if I had to predict at this early stage. Cody, after all, does seem to go through adversity, but the adversity seems to be when he goes involved in championship opportunities, not when it is in regular singles matches. Winning the program against Brock Lesnar does still solidify him as a main eventer looking to move forward to try and win the World Championship again in the near future. If Cody loses too many times against big names, he will slide down the pecking order and many people will kind of go cold on Cody. Therefore, it'd be a big missed opportunity and would seem even more of a reason why it was wrong for Cody to lose at WrestleMania to Roman Reigns. Speaking of Roman Reigns, he's going to be returning to WWE TV and SmackDown this evening. Of course, he's going to be involved during this card, Night of Champions. He is, after all, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, so it's arguably the top championship involved on this show. He'll be celebrating 1,000 days in doing so. I think his opponent will be AJ Styles. That's right, that's going to be my predicted opponent here. For me, I think the idea should be about faction versus faction. After all, the Bloodline has all of its problems and chaos going in it. Can everybody get along? Yes, the Usos and Solo did pick up the victory at Backlash, but of course they did have a few questionable moments where there would be teammates, whether they would turn on one another or not. I think there'll be a key ingredient in the storyline later on when I believe the Usos and Solo will turn on Roman, but that story isn't here yet. The idea if the Bloodline can work together still against the OC, for me, seems like a fun storyline. Of course, when Roman isn't around for most of the time, you can do the Usos and Solo against AJ and the Good Brothers. That's what you could do on the build towards the show. And of course, it's been 2016 the last time we saw Roman versus AJ. AJ has not been involved in Roman's title run up to this moment, so for me, this would be a lot of fun. I assume whoever is going to be taking on Roman Reigns at Night of Champions, that build will happen tonight on SmackDown, and that person will not be winning the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament semi-final on the SmackDown side, and I'm predicting that AJ Styles is going to be that person that will not do it. So who is it that's going to be going towards the final then to take on Seth Freakin Rollins, who won on Monday Night Raw, defeating Finn Balor in the semi-final, and of course defeating Shinsuke Nakamura and Damian Priest in the triple threat qualifier beforehand? He, in my opinion, will be taking on none other than Edge. Edge, of course, has got a lot of history with the World Heavyweight Championship. In fact, when he retired back in 2011, he was the World Heavyweight Champion. It is in his DNA, it's in his blood. It makes so much storyline narrative for Edge to be going for this championship. I know it's a questionable decision that SmackDown superstars should be going for this title to begin with, but if a SmackDown star wins it, they will go over to Monday Night Raw. If Edge was to win it, perhaps he would move over to Monday Night Raw, and perhaps there have to be a trade put in place. Could you imagine that's the way that Cody Rhodes goes over to Friday Night SmackDown? I know everybody wants Seth Freakin Rollins to win the championship. It seems to be that way on Twitter anyway, if you look everywhere. But of course, maybe people won't be so against the nostalgia pop, the one more time as a world champion Edge, should this be the narrative that plays out. Of course, Edge could be a short-term champion, potentially could lose the belt to Seth Freakin Rollins in a rematch further down the line. But personally for me, if I had to predict it at this point, to do Rollins versus Edge one more time for me is a big time match. They had a great program a couple of years ago. Of course, they've changed a lot in the time, but of course they could use that narrative to build this match being on separate shows as well, so I'm not against that. I think at an early stage, Seth Freakin Rollins would be the one to win the championship, and like I say, just the storyline narrative, they could do everything with these two, for me, makes the most sense. Of course, I'm not against the idea of a Seth versus AJ match if they were to do that. I think there'd be a lot of fun. They had a great match at Money in the Bank a few years ago, but if I had to make my prediction now, I do think Edge is going to be the one that'll be going for that championship against Seth Freakin Rollins. So that's my predicted match card there for Night of Champions 2023. Let me know your predicted match card in the comments below, and of course let me know what you think about these matches as well. Would you be happy to see this card play out? But that's all from me. Thank you for watching. In the meantime, check out the videos on the side of your screen right now. Make sure to like, share and subscribe to SCW, and I'll see you for the next video. Take care and thank you all for watching.